Hello, hello, hello! Welcome every stitcher out there. I am getting my chat up and everything, so we are ready to go. Hopefully I don't have any problems streaming today. I'm in California and some of the weather's been a little gnarly today. And literally it's sunny right now, but like 20 minutes ago it was pouring downhill. It was ridiculous. But anyway, hope everyone's doing good. Welcome back to Genetics Creations. You all voted on today's class, and we're going to be doing the Feather Stitch Headband today. I know the half double crochet beanie also got some votes, so I will tell you I'm saving that one maybe for next week, depending on what goes down, so you're not missing out, but just definitely subscribe, stay tuned. You guys will be in the loop for every class. So again, welcome to Genetics Creations. If you guys are new here, hi Amy! Yay! Glad to see you. Hope you're enjoying this crazy weather. Did you guys just get hail too? I was just telling everyone, I hope I don't have any problems with the chat because of it. But anyway, welcome guys if you're new. This is Genetics Creations. My name is Jen. This channel is dedicated towards all of my creations and then teaching you guys all how to do them and make them on your own. So, that being said, let's start taking a look at today's project. We're going to be doing the Feather Stitch Headband. This is one of my favorites. First off, if you sell crochet, these are pretty popular because it's a stitch that not a lot of people tend to do, or at least they weren't when I was making it. If you don't sell for a crochet, I can tell you great gifts because I can usually make one of these in about, let's just say 30 to 45 minutes. I mean, maybe if I have a lot of interruptions and you're kind of new to the stitch, it might take you closer to an hour, but it's a great project to bust out some quickly. So for gifts and little like basket fillers and stuff, they're awesome. I love it in just about every yarn that I have done it. These are your solids. This one had a little bit of an ombre effect kind of throughout. Tweed, whatever it is that has that. What size hook? Probably a J. I wouldn't be too picky. I tend to use a variety of sizes on this one. It'll depend on what your yarn says. I'm going to be using worsted weight, so your 4, which is similar to like your Red Heart yarn and stuff like that. And I'll probably be using a J, but it's not super, super picky. I would not recommend using bulky yarns for this. I haven't done it in anything thicker than a 4. If anyone out there has, I would love to know what your thoughts are. I just feel like it's already such a thick stitch that if you do it in bulky, I don't even know. Although it might be really pretty if you did like a chunky yarn blanket with this. I don't know. Here's another great color option. This one had like the color changing all throughout. This is the Comfy Cotton Blend yarn. They are discontinuing this. I'm really sad about that. I don't know if they're discontinuing it all or just certain colors, but last I checked they were discontinuing it, which sucks because that was one of my favorites. But anyway, that's the Feather Stitch Headband. That's what we're going to be doing. It will have a seam on the back, and I'll walk you guys through how to do that. And we'll be starting in 2 different ways. So, Amy, I know you've been working on foundation stitches, so I'm going to teach both ways, but you may want to hold off and practice doing the foundation style because this starts with a foundation half double crochet, which is the same thing that you can do for that one scarf that you were working on as far as how to start that one. So I'll definitely give you cues on that. For anyone else that is new here, I do want to run you through while you grab that, Amy. Oh yeah, supplies, guys, anyone out there. Yarn, probably about 100 to 150 grams or 150 yards of yarn. You don't need a whole lot. In fact, I have a habit of buying about 900 yards, I'll make a scarf, and whatever's left over, I make a headband. And then if there's anything left over from that, I go into my keychains and my bookmarks and whatever else I have on my project bucket list. So grab your yarn, grab your hook. I am, again, if you guys didn't already catch that, going to be using a J hook today. If you guys need any recommendations for hooks, I'm a Susan Bates girl. I know there's a lot of people out there that do not like Susan Bates because it can split the yarn. It can also be kind of harder to stab it into the loops. Stab it, that's so violent. To stab it into the loops because it doesn't have as pointy of a top to the hook. A lot of people also prefer the Boyer style which you can find a lot of online. I just find that if you look where the yarn actually goes into in that hook section of it, the Susan Bates tends to be deeper and it holds a little bit of the yarn better, so I tend to have a better rhythm. Some people also hate the aluminum or the metal hooks because they say that it makes their hands ache more. So if you guys are crocheting a lot and that's something you start noticing, take a look at some of your more ergonomic hooks. I don't have a problem with it. I'm fortunate. I've been able to crochet for hours, and the only thing that will make my hands actually experience fatigue is usually the thicker style hooks with the thicker style yarn. So just food for thought. Pay attention to your hands. Definitely do your hand exercises. I've got a million of them that I could walk you guys through in a separate class. I guess it might even be something we have to do. But let's go into free stuff while everyone's grabbing what they need. Also, don't forget your water. We're going to be healthy here. Everyone make sure they have water. Okay, let's get your freebies up on the screen. So if you are new here, many links in the description, many. First off, the affiliate links for all the things that I mentioned previously. The hooks that I use, I have the packet in there, the stitch markers that I tend to use, and then also I have some yarn needles in there. If you haven't used yarn needles or invested in them, I totally recommend it. We all hate weaving in ends, and it will make that part of your crochet journey just a lot quicker, and you won't be cussing at your pieces or your choices as you go throughout your project. So I will save you that stress. But if you guys are new and you still haven't gotten a hang of the crochet lingo, don't forget, check out the link in the description for the free crochet tool. You can download this, you can print it off, you can keep it by your side. This will help you start navigating patterns. And if you guys are new to reading patterns, join my class. A lot of times I will be teaching directly from either patterns I've written or some patterns that people have sent me that they want to get to know or whatever. Diagrams. I know we've done a lot of work with crochet diagrams in the last few weeks. I'm not using one today, but if you're new to that, this will also have some basic diagram symbols that will help you navigate your way through there. All of this just helps you guys totally maximize the skills of crochet because there's a lot of available patterns and free diagrams online, so you guys don't always have to spend a plethora of money just to get going and get stitching. Here's a little bit more of a closer look. I like to show you guys what other people are doing with the exact same stitch, just so you can see different ideas, because when you guys go back to the yarn store and you're like, man, I really want to use this feather stitch on everything, you can look at different yarns differently. Like you can see this one was clearly it's an ombre. It's probably a slow gradient, I don't know. A slow color changing effect going between the colors. So that one's beautiful. That's how it's going to transition in the feather stitch. I also love this approach where every row is a different color and it looks like they're using a 3-color rotation. I love it because the colors overlap. Not all stitches do that. The feather stitch will overlap, which is a little overwhelming when you're learning to stitch it. But when you see the results, it just really creates some really amazing things. I'm using this color practically. I wonder if it's almost the same. But anyway, that is not a feather stitch. That is a totally different shell style stitch. But I think you guys are getting the hang of what it looks like in different color options. Another great color changing yarn. I love the color changing yarn. I'm a sucker for a good ombre. But anyway, let's go back to... Let's get this out of here, out of our way, and we can start diving into stitching. Alright, so like I said, there are 2 different ways that we can start. One of them is to start with your basic row of chains, and then your stitches across. This is how traditional crocheters, if that's a word, have been doing it for years. The other way, which I find gives you a little bit more consistent tension throughout the project, if you've ever noticed when you pull that initial row and you notice that it starts getting tight, that is because you had a chain followed by your stitches, and the chain always tends to have a different tension than your stitches. So one, that's why a lot of patterns will say make sure you chain loosely, and then 2, the other thing I like to do instead is to skip the initial chain and just do foundation stitches. So I will teach both ways on how to start. If you guys have any questions along the way, I have my chat up in front. I will be answering questions. I encourage you guys to ask all questions, anything, yarn, hooks, I know a little bit about knitting, Tunisian crochet, anything you guys really want to learn about crochet, I am here for you. This class is for you guys. So honestly, the more you guys let me know what you need from me, the better it goes for everybody. So let's start the traditional way, the way that everybody's been doing these forever. And we're going to start with a slip knot. Amy, you're doing foundation, so you may just do this and undo it with me, but you're going to start the second way. So if you want to learn the foundation style, hold off. I'll get to you in a second. Otherwise, everyone else, you're just going to start with a slip knot. And as you can see, it's no different than tying a regular knot, just you're not going to pull that end all the way through. So hopefully I've done that slow enough for you guys. I know slip knots can't catch up a lot of people. It's crazy. And you're going to want to chain an odd number plus 1. I know that sounds weird because it's like, why don't you just say an even number? I just want you guys to start understanding how crochet works. So if you ever want to like freestyle, go out there and start making your own stuff, you understand what's going on. I tend to do, for most headbands, 11 or 13 stitches across. So I'll be chaining 11 plus 1, or 12, or 13 plus 1, 14. Because you want an odd number going across. I just want it to be roughly about 3 inches in width. So if that gives you guys an idea. And so I'll show everyone who's doing the basic chains first, that method, and then we'll go back and start everyone doing the foundation style. So to chain, just yarn over and you're going to pull through. And you're going to do that 11 times plus the 1 turning chain. So 12 in total. And I already lost count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then we need a turning chain. I'm calling it a turning chain because I want you to ignore it when we start the second row. We're going to be doing half double crochets across for that first row. But what I want you guys to do, most people, they just go right back into, I'll use my pointer because it's a little bit easier to see. Most people go right back into the back loop only. If you want a little bit more of a finesse project, and so that the front, the beginning and the end of your project kind of both look like a chain, you're going to want to turn the braid facing down. And you're going to want to crochet into these, let my yarn block it first. Okay, and you're going to face it down. And then you're going to want to go into the bump as you see right there. That's just going to help you have a more finished piece. So hopefully this is how we can get more professional finishes as you learn on your crochet journey. So we're going to be working half double crochets, yarn over, and you're going to insert the hook. You're going to yarn over, pull up 1. You should have 3 loops. Yarn over, pull up all 3. I'll do that slowly again. Yarn over, insert the hook, pull up 1, and pull up 3. I'm going to speed up just a little bit, but we're going to be doing that all the way across until you have 11 stitches. Yarn over, insert the hook, pull up 1, pull up 3, and you're going to keep doing that. I want everyone to keep going until you get to that last stitch, and then you're going to wait for me there. I'm going to start everyone else. Your last stitch will be, just so you can see, this one right here. Okay, so if you guys are continuing across, once you get there, wait for us to catch up. Everyone else that's going to be practicing foundation half double crochets, I'm going to be walking you through that now. Again, this is how you can replace any chain followed by a row of stitches. You can replace it with foundation stitches, and it will have a little bit better tension consistency. So again, slip knot, nothing different there. You're just going to cross that over, push that through that loop, pull it through, but do not let this tail come through the loop. Okay? And on this one, you're just going to chain 2. And then we're going to go into that bump again, that second bump. We're going to start working the half double crochet, but you're going to have an extra chain going on in it. So yarn over, insert into that loop or into that stitch, pull up 1, do the extra chain, so chain 1, and then we're going to pull through all 3. And this is what we're going to do 11 times. So again, yarn over. This is the foundation half double crochet. Grab both of those loops. Hopefully you guys see that. I think I was pretty good at not blocking it. Pull up 1. Do a chain. And then we're pulling through all 3. Now I know this is a little bit of an intermediate concept, so if anybody has any questions at all, throw it, excuse me, throw it in the chat down below, throw it in the comments if you're watching this after the fact. I will get back to you all. I am very responsive with my YouTube comments. Yarn over, insert the hook, pull up 1, do the extra chain, pull up the remaining 3. And we're going to keep doing that until we have 11 stitches across. So there's about 2 rows. Whoa, I think I messed up. I think I forgot to chain. My muscle memory went over. So insert the hook, boom, chain, now pull through 3. Yarn over, insert, chain, pull through 3. And do that again until you have 11 or 13, however wide you want to make this headband. Once we get the first couple rows, that is like your base row to set you up for the feather stitch. And then you're kind of like able to rock and roll. Now this stitch is great for washcloths. It's great. I've used it in scarves. I have used it in, let's see, scarves, headbands. Someone told me it works really good for pillow covers because it is a thicker stitch, so it's more apt to hide the pillow when you pull this over. It doesn't have super thick holes behind it, so it'll wrap a pillow and hide it very well. Let's see, how many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's do 2 more. 10 and 11. So again, you're pulling up, you're doing that extra chain, pulling through all 3. Perfect. So if you guys did the chain and you went by, you should have something looking like this. All the same, if you did the foundation style across, everyone should be in the same scenario as what you see right now. We're going to chain 1 to turn. Technically a half double crochet. Some people chain 1, some people chain 2. I, for this pattern, have always chained 1. There's one other pattern out there. It was like a scarf or something, and when I chained 1, it started like making my work go diagonal. So follow your patterns. I have a bad habit of trying to be smarter than the pattern, and it's not always good, especially when I write them. You would think I would know better. All right, we're going to go into that first stitch with a half double crochet. So again, yarn over, insert the hook, pull up 1, pull up all 3. Everyone should be doing the same thing, regardless if you started with chains or if you started with the foundation half double crochet. You guys should be doing the same thing now because we're just setting up that second row. Nothing is different between the 2 versions. So half double crochet in the first stitch, chain 1. If you were reading this in a pattern, it would then tell you to skip the next stitch, work a half double crochet into the next stitch. So you're going to skip 1 stitch, work a half double crochet into that one, and you should have already chained 1 after that. So I'm going to try to use the lingo as you would read it in a pattern, so hopefully if you guys move on to start reading patterns without me, you are prepared to do so. So half double crochet, chain 1, skip 1 stitch, half double crochet into the next stitch, yarn over, insert, pull up 1, and pull up all 3. Chain 1, skip a stitch into the next. We're going to do this all the way across. You should end, this is why it was important that you have an odd number of stitches, you should end on a half double crochet. Pull up 1, pull up 3, chain 1, and in that last stitch, boom, half double crochet. Perfect. Again, any questions, guys, throw it in the comments. I'm here for you. You're going to chain one and turn. Now, the first row of feather stitch is about to happen, and the only difference between the first row and all other rows that you're going to be doing is where you're inserting your hook. But I'll walk you through several of these rounds. We'll do it slow and go together. I want to create the border as I go, so just so you know, there's no border you have to do. We're going to create all of that at the same time, but that is done by making sure that we're beginning and ending on a half double crochet. So if you chain one and turn, you have room to yarn over, and we're going to insert and make sure that you guys are finding the top of that stitch, which will be right in here, and you're going to be working in both loops just like that. Oh, I got stuff flying everywhere. Okay, so yarn over, and you're going to insert the hook into that first stitch, as so. Yarn over, pull up one, yarn over, pull up all three. So half double crochet. Here's the feather stitch. Now I'm going to walk you through where I'm going first, so when my hands get in there, it's hopefully not too hard to see. We're going to be doing kind of like the puff stitch where you yarn over, go in, yarn over, pull back, yarn over. You're going to go back and forth. You're going to go into this loop the first time. The second time you're going to be aiming for that missed stitch from down below. So we're technically working in 2 rows again. I know we've done this before with the, what other stitch was it that we practiced? We did it as well, and it can get a little scary, but work slow and just, so we're going to go here first, here second, and then here third. Let's do it together. Everyone take a deep breath. Are we okay? Yarn over, insert the hook into that big gap, and you're just going to grab the yarn and pull it up. Yarn over, and we're going into that second spot I showed you, which is the missed. It's the missed stitch from the row before, so it should have nothing going into it. Grab the yarn on the back side and pull it up. We still have that third gap, or that third spot that we're aiming for, so yarn over and insert your hook into there and pull up. Okay, you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 loops on your hook. Now I have a lot of people that get stuck when they try to yarn over and pull through all these loops. I will tell you, the best thing you can do is to don't go crazy with the tension. Your hands will get tired, but apply a little tension going that way, away from your project. I do that by pushing with my thumb right there. So I'm always putting a little bit of pressure on the thumb, and I'm rotating my hook. You'll notice I'm rotating it that way as I pull through. So you're going to grab the yarn, pull through nice and smoothly all. And then when you come up, you're just rotating it back. If you guys are holding it this way, I want to say I can't help you. It might be a little bit difficult to get that rotation. I've never understood holding it like a pencil, but I know a lot of people do. And you're still rotating it down, and you're still applying tension away from your work. So just how you do that might be a little bit different. And then you're going to chain one to close. We're going to keep doing that across. Don't worry. I'm doing it with you, and we're going to go slow. Okay? Repetition is what's going to help you guys get the hang of this. So, yarn over. Oh, my dog is starting to make noise in her sleep. So, sorry if you hear some weird whimpering. She is being vocal over here, and I can't wake her up because she's a little far away. Alright, yarn over. We're going now, since I should probably show you first so it's easier to see here. 1, below that 2, and 3. That's where we're aiming now. So yes, this one is technically it's the last spot that we worked. It's the third spot that we worked this stitch into. So we're going to continue from here and move over. So you're always overlapping into these little triangles kind of. So yarn over, insert the hook there, and yarn over, pull up. Yarn over, we're going for that missed stitch down here. yarn over, pull up, and now we're going for that box right there. Yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull up. Should have 7 loops on the hook, yarn over, and pull through all of them, chain to close. Alright, hopefully you're getting the hang of it. Amy, are you figuring it out? Let me know. We're going to keep going. So again, no surprises. We're going to work into here first, into here second, into here third. Yarn over, insert into that first box, yarn over, pull up. Now go below the box into that unworked stitch from the previous row, not the previous row, I guess the other row before that. Yarn over, into the box, yarn over, pull up. And I will tell you, if you keep these loops a little bit looser, that will also help you when it comes to this step, which is yarn over and pulling through all. Chain to close. Fabulous. Let's do that last one. And that last one. And chain to close. Now, this actually catches a lot of people off guard. You're going to end up with a gap here. In my mind, when I first did this stitch, I'm thinking, oh, I start going here, but where I go here, no problem, but where do I go in that third spot? And if you use this spot, you will inadvertently create an extra stitch every time you do it. So don't do it. It will look like there's a hole, but I promise you, as you can see, this is that hole, and it just naturally like fits in with your piece. And that was my starting spot. So it won't create the hole, it won't be prevalent like you see it right now. So just ignore that spot. We're going to half double crochet into the only remaining spot, which is going to be on top right here. And we're going to half double crochet right into that spot. So to do that, yarn over, and we're finishing with a half double crochet. Again, chain 1 and turn. Now you guys might be going, oh my god, my stitch, like, you see how the edges, they don't look like, they kind of look like they're warping a little bit. Don't panic. Don't panic. This is one of those, that's usually a sign of I counted a stitch wrong. I know when you're doing double crochets, single crochets, and stuff like that, you're right. Normally that would be a huge red flag. But we're going to turn. And this is where all of it's going to start overlapping, and then it'll fill in that gap. So there's a slight difference between this row and before, but we're going to be doing the exact same thing as we just did, back and forth going forward. But I'll show you again. I'm probably going to show you a few more rows just so we can really get the hang of it. But now it's going to be easier to find some of these spots. So the first thing we're going to do is go half double crochet. Hopefully you guys have chained 1 and turn. And you're going to aim for your first half double crochet so we can work our border right into that spot. And then our feather stitch will go in 1, 2, and 3. But you see how these boxes, they're bigger. It's a lot more open than the first row. So it'll be easier to do this row than the very first one. Isn't that always how it is with crochet? Like the first rows are always the ones we hate. And then when you get your rhythm, you're like happy. Alright, so yarn over, and we're going to work a half double crochet right on top of that stitch. That will continue working our border for us. And here we go, feather stitch. Yarn over, into the box, grab the yarn on the back side, and pull it up. Okay, yarn over, now we're going down into the box below, and grab the yarn on the back side, and pull up. Feel free to stretch those out. They don't need to be super tight. Yarn over, and we're going into that third spot. Grab the yarn on the back side and pull up. Again, 7 loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Grab, rotate, apply enough tension with your thumb, pull through, all of those. Chain to close. Okay? We're going to continue. The next spots we're working is here, 1, 2, 3. So together, yarn over, go in there, pull up 1, yarn over, into the bottom space, yarn over, pull up 2. I don't know why I'm counting 2 because you have more than that on the hook. Yarn over, find that third spot, backside, pull it up. You'll have 7 loops on the hook, yarn over, and we're pulling through all of them. Perfect. 1, 2, 3. Those are the spots we're going for this time. And while I'm doing that, forgot to mention nails of the week. These ones are Petal Prism by Keller Street. If you guys haven't, first off, look at that chrome finish. I love the chrome, and this color was awesome. If you guys have not tried Keller Street before, it is seriously my other addiction because I am very active and I do not have time to go to the nail salon or worry about that. So it's like my touch of girl that I get to keep, and like it's super easy. I think I did these on Monday because I was bored, but usually speaking, it takes me about 15 minutes to put on all my nail polish. So this will be our last stitch. Again, here, here. Now this spot is a little harder to find unless you kind of pull that stitch open, and then you'll see that spot you want to aim for right there. So feel free to, if you're new at this and you've never done it, feel free to pull it just so you can see where you're supposed to go. Your hook will find it once you start using the tool, using the tip of that. It'll find that spot naturally, but that's where you're aiming for. So slowly together, we're going to go into the first spot, yarn over, go into the second spot below, and yarn over into that gap that we created. Well, we didn't create it, it's there. It's just you have to kind of find it. And then pull through all of those. Chain to close, and we are at the end again. So we're going to be half double crocheting right on top here to create that border as we go. Yarn over, insert into that spot, grab those 2. I always grab the 2 on the corners so it keeps it nice and tight, and pull up. Perfect. Again, you're seeing it warp, but it's a fake warp, so don't freak out. Mine's doing the same thing. It's exactly how it's supposed to be. Just watch as we keep making more rows. So chain 1 and turn. And we're gonna speed it up a little bit. If you guys are already getting it and you're going ahead, no worries. I want you to keep going. Half double crochet in that first stitch. And the reason why you're gonna keep going is because before I walk you through the end, even if you guys are gonna come back and watch and do it afterwards, we want to have enough to work with where you can kind of fake it right now and work through it with me, and then you can always undo that last row, come back, finish the length. But you're aiming for about 18 inches is what I do, or if you want to measure it in a way that you're for sure, you can always wrap it around, but you want just a little bit of room. You don't want it to be too loose because we're still going to add another row of half double crochets, and then we're going to be slip stitching it together. So if you guys are getting this, keep jetting through some more rows. If you are still like, Jen, I want you to walk me through a few, don't worry, I got you. We're going to walk through a few more rows together, and then I'm going to show you guys how we finish this piece up. So we've done our half double crochet, and again, we're going to be going here, here, and here. So 1, 2, and 3. Yarn over, insert the hook in that first spot, pull up, yarn over, insert the hook, grab the yarn on the back side and pull up, and then into that third spot and pull up. 7 loops on hook, yarn over, pull through all, and chain to close. How is everybody doing out there? Are we getting it? And we're going there, go below, and across. Pull through all 7, and close. Yarn over in there, and we'll keep going. Now, feather stitch, I will tell you, if you do this as a blanket or even like a scarf and you do it the lengthwise, anyway, switch colors, mix and match your yarn. This could be a great scrap busting project for you to really make something awesome with a great texture. I love the texture that the feather stitch creates, and you'll notice that you're able to use a lot of yarn and put it together in a way that you wouldn't have thought. So again, half double crochet into that last stitch. Hopefully you guys are seeing that all come through. I'll go ahead and do one more. If you guys have any questions or need me to re-demonstrate, feel free to let me know. I've got some more scrap yarn over here. I have no problem showing y'all what needs to happen. We're going to half double crochet in that first stitch. And again, feather stitch 1, 2, 3. Those are our locations. And then over here, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and find it in there. So let's do it all together. Pull up 1, go in there, and there. Pull through all, boom. Oh, the other thing I've used this on is the top of a beanie. I don't think I have any on me. I think I sold those. But I'll do like a brim, and I'll do either a bunch of chains or I'll do the single crochet back loops only. It's Amy, you also did the half double crochet, I think back loops only, to create that ribbing. If you do that as like the part around the rim and then you do this stitch on top, looks amazing as a beanie. And because it has that great texture, it's just, they're so pretty. And not a lot of people know how to do this stitch, or not a lot of people come across this stitch. So I usually have people that will kind of look at it, grab it, and be like, man, is this crochet? Which I always like that. I always like it when people don't really know what they're looking at. It's a great conversation starter. Alright, hopefully you guys got that last one and you found that little divot right there. Don't forget, if you're struggling, just pull that corner out and you'll see it reveal itself right there. And then we're going to do a half double crochet on that last little bit. Chain 1 to turn. I love this stitch. Just love the way it looks. Just look at all that texture. Do one more with you. Hopefully you guys are getting some good pace now. And if you'll notice, if you guys haven't already noticed, it feels thicker. It is a little bit of a thicker stitch. So like washcloths, anything like that would look really good with this stitch. I haven't done anything too drapey, like a shawl or something that you want to be a little bit lighter. I don't know if I would recommend it for that, but I don't know. Maybe if you did like a lighter weight, like a DK weight, it might look really good and feel really good with this stitch. If anyone out there has tried any of that, feel free to let me know, because I would love to know how to more use this stitch in a variety of things. But don't forget, if you're doing washcloths or hot plates or anything like that, stick with your cotton yarns. You don't want to be using acrylic or polyester for anything that could be getting really, really hot. And when it comes to with water, it absorbs the water really weird, so it may not work for the purpose that you're using it for. So you may want to stick with cotton yarn for a lot of those items. But the cotton yarn, I can tell you, the only difference in cotton yarn when you use it is that you may have a slightly different stretch. Still will stretch, it just may not stretch as much, which is why some people don't tend to like cotton yarn. It also can be a little bit rougher, but I don't know, nowadays I feel like a lot of the cotton yarn I've been buying, they've done better at the processing of it, and it's gotten really soft and it feels really good. It doesn't feel super gnarly to me. Okay, I think we've done enough where you guys get the gist of it. So what we're gonna do is save this video. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to show you how to finish the project, but you're probably going to have to come back because you might be here maybe a little bit longer by now, and I don't want you guys to really miss out. But I will walk you through how to finish this project with another one that I've done. First off, I just want to say I am not usually a fan of these yarns, but I really liked it with the Feather Stitch. It blended the colors way better than I thought it would, because when I saw this, I initially thought it was only going to look like a kid would like it. I don't know. Maybe just the color combination. But now that I see it with the Feather Stitch, I feel like it changes everything. I don't know. I think I'm just a huge fan of the Feather Stitch. It's been one of my favorite stitches for a long time. So, as you can see, we've done our half double crochets. I did the foundation half double crochet here. We did our boxes with the half double crochet chain one going across, and now we've got all the feather stitches. This is about 18 inches long. And if you got a big head, you can always start going a little bit wider. If you're making it for a kid, I think you might want to go like maybe 16 or so, maybe a little bit lower. But you're gonna finish with this, and then I see you, Amy. You're catching up. No worries. Just make sure you save this link because you're probably gonna go back and forth and want to give it a go. But I love that you tried it. Hopefully you were getting it. But totally, let's go ahead and work through that rest of the project. You've done your feather stitch across, you've ended on your half double crochet. We're going to chain one and turn, so that part hasn't changed. Now, for whatever reason, I always, if I don't pay attention to what I'm doing, I end up missing a stitch. Because remember, we started with 11 stitches, or you may have started with 13, but you want to make sure you finish with 11 or 13. Whatever your starting count was on row 1, we want to end with here. And we have one, we're going to be putting stitches on top, and technically in here, and in there, but let me count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's what always happens if I'm not paying attention. So on this first one, not only are you going to do a half double crochet here, you're going to put an extra one in the box. I don't know if anyone else has a different way that they usually finish it after a feather stitch, but that is the only way I have always been able to maintain the stitch count. Then I will go into the feather stitch on itself, and then on top of it, in the stitch on top of it. So I'll walk you through it. We're going to do a half double crochet just like we've been doing into that first stitch. So go ahead and pull up one, and then pull up all 3. Now I'm going to be working an extra one into that big open space. So go ahead and throw a half double crochet into that space. Pull up 1, pull up 3. Now we're going to be going into, it looks like the eye of that stitch. It's going to be right here, followed by right there. We're just going to keep going 2 half double crochets per each feather stitch. So you should end up with 11 half double crochets across if you're using the same amount of stitches as I am. So into that eye, if you will, pull up 1, pull up all 3, and then right there on that spot. Alright, so I'm counting. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, we'll end up with 11. Perfect. I'm glad I counted first, because that one always throws me off, guys. If you guys are getting thrown off, trust me, I've made hundreds of these probably, and I still always forget when I go back to it where that first stitch goes to make sure that I don't lose my stitches. So into the eye right there. Right on top of the stitch right there. Into there. right on top. There we go. And right on top. Now you should be ending on that border half double crochet. If you want to double check to make sure we're not making any oopses before we move on, because there is nothing worse than having to frog or take apart more of your project than you wish. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, which is what we started with. So perfect. Chain 1, we're not going to turn. So I am going to do what I find is easiest, and we're going to be slip stitching these together. But again, this is why I tell you guys at the beginning to go ahead and crochet in the bumps, or to do a foundation crochet instead of the chain followed by the steps, because now when we slip stitch, it's going to be so easy for me to find the matching braided section to go into. And that is what makes you have a clean seam when we slip stitch these together. Whoops. So we're going to be grabbing the first 2 loops on this side and the 2 loops on the back side. So showing you what we were doing, and now we're going to do it together. I usually like to try to end with this one on the opposite side so I don't have to fasten or weave in both ends, but that didn't happen. I did not plan as far ahead, but we'll do this and then I'll show you how I weave in the end. So we're slip stitching. Slip stitching is going to be inserting the hook and then just pulling through all the loops. So you're going to insert on the first 2 on this side of the headband. Remember, you don't want it twisted, so make sure you're just folding it in half. And then we're going to find those 2 loops there. This doesn't count, so get that kind of out of the way. Grab your live yarn. Oops, except I happen to kind of crochet it in there. Perfect. Grab your live yarn, that's going across, and you're just going to yarn over, pull up all the loops on the hook. Okay? We're going to do that again. So you're going into the top of that stitch, grab the braided section on that stitch, so it looks like 4 loops total, hopefully you see that. 4 loops total, yarn over, pull through, and pull through that last one. Boom, boom. You're just going to keep doing that all the way across. If you guys have never done a granny square blanket, you will never understand why people don't do it, because this is usually the part where they don't want to, they have all these granny squares and the last thing they ever want to do, and if you guys, I know there's a few of you in here right now, throw it in the chat if I'm talking to you and you're like, amen, I got you. But yeah, these are the parts that nobody ever wants to do to join all of those granny squares together. This is one of the most common methods I've seen. I've seen a few others that tend to hide the slip stitch a little bit better, but this one's really nice and simple, and it gets the job done. You can also whip stitch these together if you've ever tried that. I like the whip stitch. It hides a lot, but again, it creates some tension in the piece that I don't really like. Make sure you grab those loops on the corner. Right there. And so I often opt for this slip stitch version just so I can make sure that when it comes time and you go to stretch it, the whip stitch, it tends to feel really tight, versus this, there tends to be a little more give. So again, the tension is just a little bit more consistent with all of your project. In case you guys haven't realized it, we're done. So all we're going to do then is you're going to cut it, leave a decent tail. You don't need anything crazy. This isn't going to get a lot of like super wear and tear. But to fasten off, you cut, and I chain, and I just keep pulling all the way through. That's how I finish. So now the only thing left for us to do, and I'll go ahead and walk you through it, pull that one tight, is to fasten in our ends. But I always like to flip this first and make sure that one, it's holding pretty good. The other thing I like to do is sometimes you'll be off. And it might help if I show you with something else in the background. Give me a second. Let me get creative here and see if it'll make it easier to see. If you'll notice, sometimes you'll have a little indentation right here. So when I go to fasten off, I want to pay attention to this so I can tighten that up when I weave in my ends. And I'll show you how I do that. Let me grab my yarn needle. A lot of you probably have yarn needles that look like, they look like the one I can't find right now. Oops. I can't open a mason jar. That's embarrassing. Okay. A lot of people have yarn needles that probably look like this. This is a little overkill for this project, but it's also really nice because it'll be easier for you guys to loop it in. If I haven't said it a million times before, though, I always tend to recommend the metal ones. I feel like you have a little bit more control over your yarn when you are threading it through your project. But if you are doing a headband and you're going to attach buttons, a lot of the plastic ones will not go through the eye of a button, and these metal ones are thinner, so they will. But if you can see, which is going to be a little bit hard to see, it still has an eye that is pretty long, and so you can get yarn in there, even though it is thicker than thread. So I did mention I didn't like this divot that was here. So I'm going to be tightening that, and I'll show you how I do it. So go ahead and with the side that's coming off of this end, I'll show you how I clean it up. It's nothing too spectacular. But you're going to want to grab some more of this side, and you're going to pull it tight before we actually weave in the ends. Now, because I've already fastened off, I am going to kind of create a knot. So I did that all in one thing. So as we went in, you'll notice this is on top. I want this to also be a knot at the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and thread it through. So when I pull it tight, it'll become another knot. And what I love is that it made that edge just that much more even. So that's how, if you are just slightly off, you can fix that. And now we're gonna move on with weaving in the ends. When you're weaving in the ends, to make it look as hidden as possible, try to go with the stitches that you have. So I try to loop as many as I can under the yarn. I try to go for the base of the stitches where the stitches loop into the rows. I may not do a ton at a time because I want to be able to grab as many stitches as possible, because the more you can hide it underneath things, the more no one will ever see it. And it just also, like, the likelihood of your yarn actually coming out on you is, I guess, slim to none if you do it right. So again, do you guys see why fastening off weaving in the ends is never anyone's highlight? How many rows before I recommend connecting the two ends? Until your project is 18 inches. So, hold on. A lot of my patterns, I never will tell you do X amount of rows, because if your yarn is slightly less than mine, or even on this one, I did this one for class 2 and then I realized, oh, it's a dark color, I probably want to do something else. But this one I did a lot less rows because the yarn was thicker, and I'll show you side by side. I mean, it's still a 4, but it was like a fuzzier 4, and it was that rope kind of yarn. So I did less rows, but it already hit 18. So I never go off of rows. You want to go by how long the piece is. And if you don't have one of these or a ruler, grab it. It's a great way to cheat. And I'm just going to go literally from the end all the way across. And this one's just below 18. You can, if you got a big head, or you know someone that you're making it for, they got a big head or whatever, you can go a little bit more. But with how much crochet tends to stretch, If I'm slightly under 18, that's when I'll stop. That's when I will go, you know what, I'm at my distance, let's go ahead and do the row of half double crochets, and then go ahead and join it. I finally discovered wool needles, or you mean wood needles. Wait, no, if I cut the yarn too short, the little loop on the needle makes it easy for thread, and I'm going to have to look that up. Lorraine, I have no idea what you're talking about, and that sounds amazing. And the thread short yarn on it. Wool needles. I'm going to have to look up wool needles. I am adding that to my list if I can find my pen and paper. I've never heard of that, and I definitely need to try that. So thank you for that suggestion, because that's huge. Especially if, have you ever worked with yarn that, like, tends to rip on you when you're, like, fastening it off and you pull it tight and then it rips and now you only have, like, these little 2 inches and you're like, oh, I have to fasten it in and make it secure, and I've totally ripped it. Okay, so I don't like to go all the way to the end because if any piece is sticking out, to me it looks unprofessional. So I do tend to pull it just a little bit. Whoops, that was a really bad example. I do tend to make sure that it's in there with good tension, and then I might pull it out just a little bit because I'm going to be cutting it, and then the project will kind of suck it back in, and you'll see it completely disappear. So there you go. We still got one more to do. Wool needles. Now this edge is not super bad like the other one. I still may do the same technique and tie one more section together just to make sure that that does not get finished in any way, shape, or form in a yucky way. It's a very technical term, yucky way. A yucky way. So again, this one was the start of our project. Pull it tight if you haven't already. And then I'm just gonna go through here. I'm picking just random threads wherever I kind of want to see it get tighter and go through there. I'm not going to pull it all the way through yet because I do want to make that a knot. So once you have that, you're going to go through so that when you pull it tight, it creates another small knot, but it should tighten that edge. And again, we've got a nice clean edge. Now I'm going to continue fastening through. You do not have to tie that knot. I know there's a lot of people that are like, knots in projects are just terrible. That's a clean finish. Thank you, Lorraine. I try. It doesn't always end up, but that's a good one. If you end up and you're like, wow, my finish is off, that's a good way to hide it because nobody is going to like want to start back over at this point when you've gotten this far through the project. But I know some people are very anti-knots in crochet. They work for me. I really don't want anything coming undone for me. I know there's a few other ways I have been able to finish a project without tying knots, and they've worked very well too, but this is how I do this one. And with a headband, and it's thicker, plus this yarn is one of those budget yarns, so they're a little bit fluffy and rough. Like the knot, you can't really feel it. Plus it's at the seam, so nobody's going to notice. It's going to be at the back of your head. But there you go. And you're just going to fasten it off when you're done. Alright, we are almost done. If you guys have any more questions, please throw them in the chat. I'm more than happy to re-demonstrate anything you need. And if you guys missed it, I will go over some of the freebies in the description at the beginning that you may have missed, just so guys, you get everything out of this class that you can. But there you go. It's nice, it's sturdy, again, and your front and your back. I really love how this color turned out. Like I said, I totally thought this was kind of like a juvenile yarn, and I feel like I actually might rock this with jeans. I'm not gonna lie. I like some funky colors when I can throw them in there. The Feather Stitch really cleaned up the way that yarn changes color. I'm totally feeling it. Here's just another one that I haven't finished. Yeah, I was going to do that for class, but then I was like, oh, over camera, that's going to be really hard to see. So I won't even, like, trouble you guys with that. But hopefully you guys are navigating through it. It's so pretty. Oh, thank you. I do love the colors on this one, too. I'm a sucker for color changing yarn, if you guys haven't noticed. I very rarely do a lot in solid unless I'm teaching or something like that, or unless I, like, bought it specifically for a project. But, yeah, have some fun with it. There's a lot of things you can do. You can also work 2 strands at a time, but again, remember, it's going to be super bulky if you do that. So just be careful because this is a thicker stitch, and give it a go. If you guys have any last minute questions, throw it in the chat. Aside from that, wish your fellow stitchers a happy stitching as we approach the weekend. If you guys missed it, do not forget, we got Color Street nail links in the chat. If you guys are interested, I have a video. The link is in the description, but I have a video in there showing you literally how I apply them. They look like stickers, but they're not. It's actual real nail polish. Lasts for about, I don't know, 7 to 10 days, sometimes longer, and it's dry. So literally you're putting it on your nail, you're kind of rubbing the tips until it gets all massaged into it nice and smooth. Then you file off the ends and your nail polish is dry, ready to go. Also in the bottom, you have the link for the crochet tool. Don't forget to grab that, print it off, because that is yours to keep and it will help you through many others. If you guys haven't already saved the date, the next class is next Thursday. If you stay on till the end of this video, it will redirect you there, but it is already scheduled in YouTube, so you guys can go ahead and check that out and hit the remind me link. I think it's remind me or something like that, notify me, and it'll let you know when the live actually starts going so you won't miss it. Otherwise, if you have any requests on anything you guys want to learn, throw that in the chat as well. Thank you, Amy. I'm glad it was fun. Hopefully it wasn't too intimidating. I know it's a little bit of an intermediate stitch, but I think you guys can navigate it pretty well. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next week, and if you guys have any more suggestions on things you want to learn, let me know. Happy stitching! I'll see you guys next week. Take care.